Good afternoon, evening, or night. This is Humanize IT, Adam Walter, and we have Coach Hess here again. And one of the common questions I get when I'm talking and mentoring a lot of you business leaders out there is, how do I build my team? My people keep leaving me, or I'm having a hard time hiring the right people. And what better way and better place to get advice than from a lifelong coach and business practitioner? So, Coach S, I think you've got a unique perspective here on how to empower teams and build these great teams that are going to succeed using your why, using your how, and helping understand where is your business going. So tell us how you empower a team, either coaching them through, mentoring them. What is the secret sauce here?
Well, starting at the top, I think, of any team situation, leadership is critical. And whatever the leader's got going, and kind of making other people feel capable of reaching their peak, that's what the leader should be thinking about and trying to figure that out. So one of the things on leadership, I'll just say I had an opportunity to work with a guy named Magic Johnson I mentioned in previous session. But one of the things that I did when I was running his camps, I was doing my MBA at California Lutheran University at the time, and I was fortunate enough to be the camp guy, or help do that, plus his finance and also organize the sessions. And so when everybody registered, I had them put their name on the right side of their shoe. Eh, First name, every single kid came through the program. Well, Magic saw this and thought I was the smartest coach in the world. He thought this was just unbelievable because as a leader, he knew how important it was to use people's names.
Yeah.
And I think that one of the things I do in my coaching environment that you can see right here on the show is that I use this board behind her every time I have somebody on for a client coach, whatever, their name's there. And it makes them feel a lot more appreciated. They get something for you. I think as a leader, you want to get people in terms of a winning team feeling like they're appreciated. And as a school teacher, and back to the name thing, it's not only that once I learned everybody's name and my 30 students in my class as a school teacher, it's when all 30 of them knew each other's names that the real culture started to change. Because the respect level and just using the name is critical to, I think, building a leadership kind of operation. So that's number one that I'd throw out.
Number one is summarize that in like a couple words.
Leadership led by knowing everybody's name and everybody
Know their names.
know the name and show the respect that people deserve by using their name.
Yeah, I think that's that respect issue. Like some of the people I talk to is like, well, if they would just do what I tell them to, like that's not respect. That's
Yeah.
authoritarian.
Yeah. Well,
Respect is, oh, I see your point, and maybe that is a better way of doing it.
right.
Huh? I never thought of it that way. These are things where you're accepting them as a human and accepting their value and
Hmm.
incorporating into the vision. What I see from a lot of leaders is they like to tell people what to do.
Yeah.
And that's not respectful. That's just simply your authority. You're flexing authority. And so to gain respect is, like, I know your name. I know that you have a dog that you love more than anything in the world.
Right.
And that dog is important to you. And I heard that it was sick last week, and I just want to send you a card saying I'm
Yeah.
sorry that your dog was sick. Because to some people, their dogs are the most. It may not be the most important thing to you, but it is to them,
Yeah.
and that's respect. I'm respecting your decisions. I'm respecting who you are as a person, and I am taking time out of my day to learn that
Yeah.
because you are important, not
Something
just important in the terms of ROI.
Something to add to that in terms of, key principle of winning team is everybody feels like they are participating 100% in the whole picture of what's going on. The technique that I've kind of used over that's worked very well that I'd recommend people think about is called what I use as a whiffle. What I feel like expressing. So when I have a meeting where people, we've all been to meetings where people never say anything, right? Year and month over month, come on, man, you gotta. Well, this way you make it a rule. Everybody's going to say a whiffle. And what happens is that the consistency of that creates that, hey, I'm going to come to this meeting and I'm going to have my stuff that maybe went on last week. Billy Bob burning the popcorn in the microwave might have freaked me, smelled bad and I hated it. I'm going to bring it up the whiff or whatever it goes. And by you as a leader, you want to go last in a whiffle. So if you have 12 people on your team, they've all done their whiffle. You as the last person can kind of solve a lot of things right there or take it offline, whatever it might be. But people know they're going to have a chance to be heard.
So
And
what's a
it's,
whiffle? Is it like a 5-minute, time they get to talk
oh,
about
no,
anything or
well, you leave it open, but if you get into the situation where people go into more than 2 minutes, then you have to identify the quiffle, which is the quick whiffle.
okay.
You want to keep it around 2 minutes, and you kind of model that as you go along. But some people may go on for a lifetime, and that's not what you want here. You want some pretty sharp, quick points, and you can model it, and then people follow that routine quite well. Every one of my coaching sessions, it starts with a whiffle, and it ends with a whoosh. And a whoosh is when we put our hands out and we grab all the new information, throw out the old stuff we wanted to leave behind, and three, we bring our hands, whoosh, lock it in, and move on. And I think
Nice.
that co- consistency in terms of rituals around your team bring comfort and bring winning teams to play because they know what's going to happen and they know that the business in this case is bigger than themselves, but they're part of it in a big way. They own it. I think that's key for leadership
I
and
I
winning.
really like that concept because in our business, we're all remote, right? I got people in Texas, I got people in California, I got people in South Africa. And, when we meet in the morning, it could just be all about business. I could just be going down an agenda every morning as a stand up. But instead, what we've kind of done is it's a mix of personal
Hmm.
mixed with, is there anything pressing today? And every week we have a level 10 meeting where it's very strict on agenda, like here are all things that's going on in the business. How are we handling those? But our daily ones, it's more about building relationships. Like, how did you do today? Like anything new with your baby today? How's the pool going? Like we have different things. And so it becomes a little bit more water cooler talk.
Yeah.
And I feel like people feel a lot more heard and more respected then because we're people and
Yeah.
you miss that in a physical environment. When you're in a physical office together, you're meeting around the water cooler. You're going out for beers after work. You're hopefully having lunches every once in a while, or places where you're crossing by people and having these quick little like, man, Bob burned the popcorn the other day. That smell still hasn't gone away, and you all bond over it, right?
Yeah.
And next thing time Bob makes popcorn, there's 3 of you sitting there just making fun of him, making sure he's not gonna burn it again. And so that's camaraderie. And the more of those moments you have, the better. Like my wife and I, we've been married for 21 years.
Congratulations.
Um, and we never run out of things to talk about. And I think it's because we have a lot of shared experiences and a lot of these little, like, nuances were like, we'll just be sitting there just chatting on the couch and like, "Oh, yeah, I forgot about that," and we'll relate it and we'll talk about how awesome it was. In a
Good.
business, you do the same thing.
Hmm.
If you're a team, you should be able to hang out together.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to like the person across from you. Sometimes personalities clash, right? But you should have enough in common, and you should have enough as a team where you're discussing either the sport you're in, the business you're in. You have things in common as a team, and that comes through respect. I respect you enough to not like maybe agree with you politically or religiously or on what the favorite piece of cake is. But
Yeah.
I do respect you in this area of technology, and I love your thoughts on AI. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
But I have to
Yeah.
get to know somebody first before I know that stuff.
Well, one thing I'll add that I bring into the whole element of I think has created a lot of winning team type right from my basketball coaching to my business coaching and so on is a common goal. We establish a common goal in some way. And I'll just give you a quick story from when I walked into the gym at Westlake Village High School, brand new head basketball coach there in a pretty high profile program. Look around the gym, I got 6'11, 6'10, 6'9. I got big kids that were all interested in probably looking good more than being good. They've been told they've been good for a long time. They hadn't figured out how to be really good, is the way I felt in looking at them. So I created a common goal in my mind, which I've always kind of had as a basketball coach. I like defense, and I like us to be able to hold teams under 50 points. And so what I did is I created in my mind Psycho D. I said, we're going to run Psycho D here. And people are like, what? And I started making a deal, and nobody really knew what it was. Neither did I, but I was making it up. But as we went along, what I did, I had a half hour part of every practice that was dedicated to defense. And we built that common goal around trying to hold every team under 50 points, and we did it often. What it turned out is 5 guys from that team, that were probably not, they were good enough to get recruited, but they all ended up with Division I scholarships. And it was a big deal, for a school of that size, and to have that happen. And it came down to the cheerleaders started to get into this whole Psycho D. Everybody had this common goal. Well, it leads into culture.
Mhm.
Now we got a culture that says we're about defense. We're about this, and this is our culture. And when we have the rules of the game defined, we're going to do it this way, that way. You get a good, tight culture going. Again, people will buy in and be supportive of those kind of
Yep.
businesses and teams that have good culture. And combined with there's a common goal. So you got to look at your KPIs or whatever those might be that you're measuring. What is the common one we can all rally around? And I like to do that quarter by quarter, trying to have a new goal for each quarter so that we're all common goaling to get to a quarter and then go from there. That works well for my coaching. I don't know if that, some people do it by week, by month, by whatever, but usually it's something we're all got our oars in the water going the same way.
Yeah, it's amazing what you can do, and if I always use a ship analogy, right? My parent company is called Virtual Sea. It's all about navigating the business ocean.
Okay.
If you've got a business sitting here and you've got some really strong people at the oars, and they're just pulling and pulling and pulling, they're gonna spin in circles, they're gonna go around, and they're gonna have a hard time getting to where they're going. If you've got another boat and they're slightly off kilter, right? They're
Yeah.
going east, but they're tilted, but they're all rowing together. Guess who's going to win that battle?
Yeah.
The strong oars that are all like paddling for their lives, or the ones that are just slightly off, but they're heading all together in that direction. And you know what?
Yeah.
They might end up at a new island and have
Yeah.
a great time, but they're going to get somewhere. And they might need to adjust every once in a while, but they're all together. And I love that Psycho D because it was the concept that everybody got into. And I say that when you're running a business, would you rather have one person working on the problem and making the business successful, or would you rather have 10? Let's say you're a small MSP, you've got 10 employees there. Would you rather have just you caring about where the business is going, or would you rather have all 10 looking for opportunities? Like, hey
Right.
guys, we need to land 25 new clients this quarter.
Right.
How are we going to do that? And then you've got 10 people trying to solve the problem. Like, that will win every time over the one person. The leader's going, okay, how am I
Worry
going to get
about. Yeah.
25 new clients? But when I've got 10 people working together trying to make this thing awesome,
Yeah.
maybe I just made up that goal of 25, but now they all know what we're working for. Maybe I just made up a Psycho D, and
Yeah.
all of a sudden this becomes the chant of our company. And it's what helps us drive. We're going to 25 a quarter. Oh, yeah. Well, now we're going to do 100 a quarter. Yeah. Like, let's do it even better. And like, this becomes something everybody rallies behind.
Yeah.
And I think that's the lesson you need to learn from what coach is saying here is like, he just said, I want to be a good defense. So he came with a good catchphrase. He
Uh-huh.
got people rallied behind it and they started working it.
Yeah.
And the people you thought was going to be the big ones weren't. The ones that were like, I am on board. I am going to respect my coach. I'm going to respect my teammates and I'm going to work to get this done because I'm behind this.
Yeah. And
I was a big
boy.
defensive player as well. I'm a big guy. I'm a 6'6", 300 pound, Nebraskan. And so I was all about defense. My hands were like bricks. It wasn't a ball that's going to get through them, but man, my free throws were ugly. And
Well, I shrunk down to 6'4", but then they put a new hip in me and I'm back to 6'5", so
oh
I'm
no. So I really want to think this through, like, because the big struggle in my industry, and I want you to give this advice, is that a lot of people come in and then they leave. They have a lot of turnover in their companies. And then they struggle with retaining them and finding talent. Like finding the right people for your team. So you'd mentioned something there just a little bit ago about how the people that end up being really good on this Psycho D, end up being like the mid-tier players at the time, but they floated and they became really successful. And I know as a business owner, I'd rather have 5 mediocre people all working together than 2 rock stars.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
tell me, how do you get there? How do you take that team and build it so that these technology people who are having a hard time getting a team to work together, they think that they just need rock stars, but instead, like, how do they build the team?
Yeah. 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 I got you. A combination of two things I think of right away when you mention that, Adam. On one hand, especially in the tech industry, you want to have people feel like they can be supported in risk taking because it's a moving industry and things are going on, and they want to kind of feel like I'm empowered a lot of times to have that ability to do risk taking. But at the other side of that, you want to have something else that each individual has an action plan. Everybody has their action plan because career pathing is critical. If you can see where you're going down the road, you're going to stick around long. Your retention rate's going to go up. But if you don't have a plan, you don't have an action plan for what you're doing. And again, I go quarter by quarter with most of my clients at least, where they actually have action plans for what they're going to do in that quarter, right down to their calendar, in
Yep.
terms of the goals that they set. That seems to create a cohesiveness and the desire to stay and the desire to grow with the company because you feel like you're part of it. And they really, again, a career path is young people need this, and people in IT need, where does this go for me? I look back at Will Rivera, I mentioned earlier, the guy that ended up getting the PhD. Well, that's what I did for him when he was at Halliburton. I said, let's take a look at your career path. Where are you going? Of course, he did it in a big way, and I'm very proud of it. Everybody kind of needs that. They need to know where they're going to go, and I think the action plan is a critical piece of that. And
Yeah.
of course, you as a leader, you've got to oversee these things, and again, support that the passion the individual has, back to the why type stuff. So each person has their own little generator of what's going to get them more excited. So that's supporting some risk taking, but keeping it under control, through an action plan is what I say, and giving them a chance to expand and grow, because that's what people want. They want to get
My
better.
my wife, who's much wiser than I am, avid listener of the podcast, so, she has a saying, like, everybody's a hero of their own journey, right? She talks
Right.
mental health all the time, and everybody's a hero of their own story. And if you're not helping narrate that story, you're a bad leader.
Yeah.
Just gonna call you out. If you see this person in front of you and you don't understand what's their driving factor, you're gonna lose them because you're not part of their journey. But if
Right.
you say, "Hey, coach, what drives you and how can I be a part of that?" And you become a part of the success. So I say you have to build, from a more pragmatic standpoint, you have to have a career path for every single person that works in your company. And that career path needs to be infinitely expanding. There's
Yeah.
never a stopping spot. There's never a stop spot where they're done. And so when you say to Bob who comes in, it's like, "Hey, what's your hero path?" Like, "I wanna make $100,000,000." "Okay. How you gonna get there?" "Well, my goal is to," and then listen to him, because
Right.
maybe you just found a future partner and somebody who can take over this MSP and you just got your exit plan.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
say, "Okay, if you wanna take over for this MSP, I plan on taking this MSP to 100,000,000 and exiting.
Yeah.
Tell you what, if you can hit these metrics and help me get here, I will sell you this company at that time through," and then you come up with an agreement.
Right.
But you say, "Right now,
Give
you're
'em
just a level 1 technician, though. You gotta work it." And so you talk to them and help them with their dream. Maybe their hero journey is, "I want to retire by the time I'm 55. I want to make sure my family has a great life.
yeah.
I want to take care of my dog." You know,
Right.
what is their why and how can you incorporate that into their journey as an employee? You do that and you've got an employee for life
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you become a part of their hero journey. And that's why I like watching like when I watch a sports movie, like people know, like so again, I was an All-American college athlete in AIA. But I don't really watch sports anymore. What I do is I love to read like to read fantasy. And that's where I get the hero journey from. You see any
Right.
great fantasy, Frodo, you read any good books that are out there in fantasy, there's always somebody who starts at nothing and they become this amazing thing even though they didn't deserve it. They work their way into it, and people love those inspirational tales. And
Yeah.
you gotta be like that as a leader.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm totally with you. I brought up before the 100% inclusion, everybody matters, everyone matters, and that's exactly what you're saying there, Adam, is it really is, true inclusion is the magic that turns a group of people into a team,
Yeah.
into yeah,
And you watch like the great sports movies out there. You look at Hoosiers, you look at some of the classics that we all love. And it's when the team starts working together is that inspirational moment.
yeah,
And
yeah,
then pay attention. Like even read the real world stories. Read things like I Am Third or read some of these great sports books where they developed and talk about people who had great journeys. And the inspirational moments are when the leader got the people to work together, not because they were just doing what they were told. There is some fundamentals there, right? You got to teach people fundamentals, but
yeah,
there's also relational between your team members. How are they getting along? Why aren't they getting along? What's their shared goal? We've got a lot of great concepts here that has brought up, and it's what's the why of the leader? Is it aligned with the why of the team? Why does the team work together? What is their goal? What's their shared goal? And what do they get out of it? Is it part of their hero journey? You got to paint this picture, and it's not going to be easy. If you're an engineer and you just like working hard on servers and stuff, then do not lead a company. Do not lead a team. Go and work on servers. There's plenty of money to be made there in technology. But if you like inspiring people and team building and you want to see people get along together and do something great, now we know you're on the right path. And there's where you can pick up books like from Coach over here. He's got a whole bunch of them that you can check out. Will help you lean into that. Lean into people's knowledge who have done this before and been through a variety of situations. Beware of the people who worked in one company and have had one experience their entire life and then wrote a book. Find the people who've got a tapestry behind them.
yeah,
What is Coach's background? Are you just a sports person? Are
yeah,
you just a business person? Are you just an analyst? What are you? And like, oh, I've got all these things I've done. And here are the conclusions I've come out of them.
yeah.
And that's how we know we've got a good mentor and a good coach in front of us.
I appreciate that, Adam.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Any final thoughts, Coach, before we hang up here? We're a little over time, but I think I want to give you some final thoughts to leave these aspiring business leaders, to leave these people that are just starting their companies or struggling with their companies. What is your big piece of advice other than read your book to take away from this?
We've heard it many times before. Kaizen's been talked about a long time, but the whole idea of continuous improvement, I think, is really the way to think about things. I mean, once we've done something, we have to look back and say, how did we do on that? How do we do better next time? And continually get better in our lives in all parts of that aspect of relationships to, our family, to how we take care of our health, what we do in life, I think is around kind of a growth isn't just a destination, it's a mindset,
Yeah,
and I think that's
definitely.
what we gotta
Make
get.
As we said two podcasts ago, I think it was make what you do today look like crap tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's one of our core tenets at Humanize IT. So I appreciate you coming on, Coach, and I look forward to having you again sometime. This has been
I
great and
love
refreshing, a great fresh perspective for everyone.
Well, thank you, Adam, and it's been fantastic being on the show. I appreciate it.
All right, thank you.
All right.